-89 degrees Celsius. At that temperature, the air doesn't freeze. It cuts. Every breath hurts. Every second exposed counts. This is the lowest temperature ever recorded on Earth. Not on another planet. Right here. And the place where it happened still exists. It is home to researchers. And it is the most hostile environment humanity has ever tried to face. This is Antarctica. But what makes this continent truly extreme is not just the cold. It's what it does to the body. And above all, what it does to the mind. The cold of Antarctica is not discomfort. It is an active agent of destruction. At -89 degrees, the vapor from your lungs turns into ice crystals before it even leaves your mouth. The air is so dry it pulls moisture from your body with every single breath. Metal shatters like glass. Rubber hardens and cracks. Fuel thickens. Batteries drain in minutes. Machines simply stop working. The human body begins to fail. First comes the involuntary shivering. Then, the loss of feeling in the extremities. Your fingers stop responding. Your skin begins to freeze from the inside. This has a name, frostbite. It's not a dramatic metaphor. It's living tissue freezing, cells being permanently destroyed. And the most dangerous part? The process is silent. By the time the pain disappears, the damage has already begun. Now imagine opening the door of a research station in the middle of winter. You step out for 5 minutes. The wind picks up. Visibility drops. You look back. And the door that was just a few meters away simply vanishes into the white. You know it's there, but you can't see it. That is the second mechanism of destruction in Antarctica. The wind. Deep in the continent's interior, there is an elevated plateau. The air there becomes extremely cold and dense. Gravity pulls it downward, and as it descends, it accelerates. These are Katabatic winds. Some gusts exceed 300 kilometers per hour, enough force to bring down entire structures, enough force to launch ice and snow like invisible projectiles. When these winds lift the loose snow from the surface, something even more disturbing happens. The world disappears. The phenomenon is called a whiteout. The sky and the ground merge into a single white void. There are no shadows. There is no horizon. There is no depth. You can't tell where the ground ends and the sky begins. The brain searches for a reference point. It finds none. The vestibular system falls into conflict. Anxiety begins to rise. People have walked in circles just meters away from safe shelter, completely disoriented. In a whiteout, experience helps, but it doesn't eliminate the risk. The continent levels everyone, but the cold and the wind are only the most visible layer of the threat. The real pressure begins when the polar winter sets in. During the Antarctic winter, darkness doesn't fall at night. It simply stays for weeks, then months. The sun disappears completely below the horizon. No natural light. No clear cycle of day and night. The clock keeps ticking, but the body starts to lose its sense of time. Researchers who spend the winter in Antarctica report something strange. The days start blending together. Waking up and falling asleep stop feeling like natural events. Without the sun as a reference, the brain loses one of its most important biological markers. The circadian rhythm breaks down. Sleep becomes fragmented. Mood swings. Small irritations feel larger. The constant silence amplifies every thought. Antarctica doesn't kill only through cold. It tests the limits of the human mind. Studies conducted at isolated stations show measurable cognitive changes during winter. Reduced processing speed. Changes in short-term memory. Difficulty concentrating. These are not theories. They are data collected over decades. The physical isolation becomes psychological isolation. You are surrounded by people, but you are also cut off from the entire world. No nearby city, no roads, no way out if something goes wrong. During winter, planes cannot land. Ships cannot get close. If a medical emergency happens, evacuation can be impossible for weeks. You don't leave. You wait. And it is in that waiting that the continent begins to work on you in ways you can't see. Humans evolved in environments full of movement, sound, and clear natural cycles. In Antarctica, everything is different. The silence is deep. The wind can last for hours or days without stopping. No trees, no cities, no urban life. The landscape is practically unchanging. White, ice, an empty horizon. The constant repetition of that scenery creates a psychological phenomenon known as extreme environmental monotony. The human brain responds poorly to a prolonged absence of varied stimuli. When nothing changes, the perception of time starts to distort. Without clear visual or social markers, weeks can feel like days, and days can feel endless. At some stations, researchers report something called winter over syndrome, a combination of irritability, fatigue, insomnia, and difficulty concentrating. Nothing as dramatic as in movies, but enough to serve as a constant reminder that the environment is pressing on the mind. And there is one more detail worth noting. Antarctica is the only continent on Earth with no permanent native population. No civilization ever developed there. No culture emerged from the ice. No group of humans ever managed to call that place home for generations. The continent is visited, studied, temporarily occupied, but never permanently inhabited. That alone says something. About 90% of all the ice on the planet is concentrated there. In some areas, the ice sheet exceeds 4 kilometers in thickness. 4 kilometers of ice compressing the continent for millions of years. If all of that ice were to melt, sea levels would rise by approximately 60 meters. Major coastal cities would disappear. Ports, airports, entire regions would be swallowed. The map of the world would be rewritten. But beneath that frozen mass lies a world most people never imagined. Mountains taller than the Alps are completely buried. Deep valleys have never once seen sunlight. And subglacial lakes have remained isolated for more than 15 million years. Liquid water, held under extreme pressure. Environments sealed long before the human species ever existed. Lake Vostok is the largest of them, a lake the size of a major continental lake, hidden beneath kilometers of ice. Drilling down to it is a delicate operation. Any contamination could destroy an ecosystem isolated for ages. These lakes are like time capsules. They hold clues about Earth's past, perhaps about forms of life adapted to extreme conditions, and all of it remains hidden beneath a continent that looks empty. But Antarctica is far from irrelevant. The ice reflects solar radiation back into space. That effect helps maintain the planet's thermal balance. The deep ocean currents also begin there. Extremely cold, dense water sinks and drives the global circulation of the oceans. That system distributes heat across the entire planet. If it changes, climate patterns in distant continents change along with it. Droughts, storms, shifts in fisheries, changes in ecosystems. The most isolated continent on Earth influences all the others. It's a paradox. The most inhospitable place on the planet is also one of the most important, and yet it remains an environment that rejects permanent human presence. Antarctica does not negotiate. It does not soften its conditions. It does not offer shortcuts. To remain there, every single detail must work. Every system must have a backup. Every decision must account for the worst case. And even then, the risk never fully disappears. But perhaps the most symbolic moment happens at the end of winter. After months of continuous darkness, something shifts. The horizon begins to show a faint line of light. The sun returns slowly. The first light touches the frozen surface. The ice reflects. The sky regains its depth. Those who spent months there can see once again where the ground ends and the sky begins. A scene that anyone else would consider ordinary. There, after so long without any reference, it feels monumental. Maybe that is what Antarctica teaches. That there are places where nature still sets the rules, where technology helps but does not dominate, where the body is tested by the cold, and the mind is tested by silence, by repetition, and by waiting. Antarctica challenges human beings to stay functional when the environment strips away almost every invisible comfort that holds us together. Light, movement, variety, connection to the outside world. There, all of it becomes scarce. And yet, researchers keep going back, not for adventure, not for conquest, but because understanding that continent means understanding the balance of the planet. In a world where almost everything seems explored and controlled, Antarctica remains as a reminder. We do not control nature. We only learn carefully to survive within it. And perhaps that is the true extreme of that place. Not the cold, not the wind, but the realization that limits exist. And that when faced with them, human beings need adaptation far more than they need domination.